Catalyst is a new defensive legend in Season 15 with the ability to manipulate space like never seen before. I've made this guide to get you ahead of everyone else, and I even included a technique that you should try out before it gets removed. Let's dive right into her kit, starting with Catalyst's passive Barricade. Barricade reinforces doors, which strengthens them and makes them unable to be used by enemies, which this fuse did not know about. Empty doorways where the door has been destroyed can also be reinforced, with Catalyst placing a fake door which can't be interacted with, but it still blocks that doorway. It takes 4 hits to destroy the wall rather than 2, but the abilities and explosions still damage the door like normal. This reinforcement can apply to 2 doorways at the same time, and this is important since a doorway can both mean a single door or a double door. After hitting the 2 doorway limit, reinforcing another doorway will remove the oldest reinforced door. Remember that Catalyst can't reinforce or claim already reinforced doors, so the only way to get ownership of that door is by killing an enemy Catalyst or breaking it and placing a faux door instead. Catalyst's doors, like her abilities, are color-coded. Friendly Catalyst doors have a blue glow, and enemies will have red glow. The reinforcement animation takes only half a second and has a short cooldown of about 5 seconds. This cooldown is short enough that if you're holding a building and a team breaks your reinforced doors, you can walk up and reinforce them again to keep the enemy out, which is perfect for stalling out fights and staying alive for a little bit longer. And you want to make sure that you always reinforce the doors in the room where you are setting up, or just while rotating around to be a pain to any enemies who might be rotating up behind you. At the time of this video, you can also use Catalyst's passive to cancel the door kick animation, allowing you to kick down doors much faster than any other legend. To do this, start a kick, and right when you do damage to the door, hit the reinforce button and immediately kick again. Rinse and repeat until the door is broken down. While Catalyst's kit is overall pretty proactive, there is a lot of potential for outplays by using Barricade. If you have an enemy playing on the other side of a door, you can reinforce it and remove their ability to open and close it, meaning you can dictate how you want to open and close the door, which allows you to peek and heal at your own pace. This is super valuable and honestly still very underrated as far as Catalyst tips go. Another great way to win door fights is by using her tactical piercing spikes. This ability allows you to throw out a patch of fair fluid which turns into spikes when enemies are near. Enemies who step into the spike take 15 damage and get slowed as long as they're on top of the patch. The damage does not stack if you place more patches, and the patch seems to last forever until replaced, picked up. By the way, it restores your tactical charge if you pick it up within a certain amount of time, or if it's destroyed by an enemy. To destroy Catalyst piercing spikes, enemies have to get close enough, and doing so will expose a core that can be destroyed by dealing 300 damage. Catalyst can have 2 charges of her tactical available at a time, with a maximum of 3 patches active on the map. Catalyst is immune to any enemy Catalyst kit, but the spikes will still activate visually if you get close enough. If you are in the open and you need some visual obstruction while healing up, you can either toss a patch of spikes on the ground beneath you, or if possible hide in an enemy Catalyst spikes where applicable, since they will activate and cover you a whole lot more than your own tactical would. Keep in mind that Catalyst's tactical is a one-handed activity, meaning that it can be activated while healing or doing other things, such as riding a zipline or hitting the like button on this video. While the tactical is generally reactive, it also has some proactive uses. The spikes can be thrown with a range of up to 80 meters, giving you the ability to set up a range or throw it at enemies holding a position or just hiding behind something to force them out of cover. And if you're nimble enough, you can also throw the tactical at an enemy while you're taking a duel. This will distract them, make them take damage, and get slowed down, making them much easier to beam. If you throw your patch right on top of an enemy, it will take about a second to activate. As I mentioned earlier, Catalyst can also use the piercing spikes in tandem with her passive to win door fights. If an enemy is holding a door, you can turn 90 degrees and drop the piercing spikes on the ground to have it clip through the door and force the enemy to either move away or take a lot of damage as long as they keep holding the door. Another ability that's sort of half reactive and half proactive is Catalyst's ultimate, Dark Veil. Her ultimate allows you to raise a 55-meter long and about 3 meters high wall of fair fluid in line of Catalyst's reticle. The wall will continue forward even over obstacles as long as they're under about 2 to 3 meters in height. Otherwise, it will come at a full stop. This wall can be shot through, and scanning abilities will not apply scans to players on the other side of the wall. If enemies were scanned before going behind the wall, they will still be revealed, and they'll also be revealed if the source of the scan is on the same side of the wall as the enemy. Enemies who step through the Dark Veil will be blinded for 15 seconds and slowed. This blind is pretty noticeable as it turns your screen very dark, but you can still sort of see what's going on. If you're a Catalyst going through the wall, no matter if it's your own or your enemies, you'll get a bit of a slow and a darker tint on your screen, but it's nothing compared to what other players see, or well, I guess don't see. Which means that as a Catalyst, you'll want to make a habit of jumping through the veil in team fights, both the enemies and your own, as this will generally catch most enemies off guard. The wall lasts for about 30 seconds before it starts going down again, so it's not the best choice to use this as a defensive setup ability. Instead, the Dark Veil is perfect for crossing open areas, either by blocking off an entire team or just block off one of them to force a fight against the one that's now caught out. You can also drop the Dark Veil if you get pushed by a team to split them off in two, then push that solo player. The slow and the blindness puts any enemy walking through the wall at a serious disadvantage, which means that they rarely will do so, but that doesn't mean never. So make sure to keep an eye on your wall to punish them if they do. If you are using your ultimate in close quarters combat, consider dropping your tactical on one side so the enemy gets blinded and slowed by the ultimate, as well as your tactical at the same time. This also gives you the benefit of alerting you should it try to cross through the veil. The Dark Veil only has a cooldown of 2 minutes, and the cooldown starts the second you pop the ultimate, so make sure that you use this any chance you have to get the most value out of your abilities. That being said, the Dark Veil scan blocking abilities are a little bit confusing. The wall blocks Bloodhound's scanning ability, but if a person is scanned beforehand, they will still be revealed after going behind the wall. As for Crypto's drone, if the wall is blocking the drone's view of the target, it won't be revealed. But if the drone can see the target, they will still be revealed to Crypto and their teammates through the Dark Veil. As for Horizon's ultimate, enemies highlighted by her ultimate are hidden by the wall as long as it blocks the view of the target. The same goes for Caustic, as his passive won't reveal targets on the other side of the Dark Veil. As for Vantage's passive, this information is also blocked by the Dark Veil. The wall also blocks Valkyrie's skydiving passive, but after that it gets a little bit tricky. The Veil does nothing to block Seer's ultimate, no matter what they showed you in the trailer. His passive works through the wall with no issues, but to be fair, it does block Seer's tactical in the same way it blocks Bloodhound's. It also doesn't block Fuse's ultimate reveal for whatever reason. Mad Maggie's passive also works through the Dark Veil, so if she hits a shot, she can keep tracking you through the wall with no issue. The Dark Veil also doesn't stop Mirage or Watson from being alerted if you trigger a fence or kill a decoy. If that's a lot to remember, here's a graph to help you out. Full credit to Reddit user pkunkmeetarilu, and I probably butchered that name, for doing the research and putting it all together. Regarding team fights, Catalyst teams generally don't want to take any in the open because while the wall is useful, it's only for such a short period of time, and not having doors to play around severely cripples Catalyst's kit. She normally would take the support role on a team, playing around the middle to the back with a little bit more agility than someone like Caustic, thanks to her more forgiving, smaller hitbox. Make sure to continuously reinforce doors during team fights to give you a bit of a breather while making things harder for the enemy teams, even if you don't plan to play the doors at all. As for her loadout, it comes down to how you want to play. Like most defensive legends, Catalyst benefits from a shotgun as a secondary to play around doors and the Dark Veil, and the primary can really be anything you feel like, but it comes down to what your team is running. If you play a team composition consisting solely of defensive legends with a plan to set up and play passive, you might benefit more from a marksman or sniper as a secondary instead of a shotgun, or an anvil assault rifle as primary to go with the shotgun. I'm putting an emphasis on longer range weapons this season since Broken Moon is so large and the meta seems to be leaning farther into sniper meta by the day. If you guys want more tips for the new season, check out the video on the screen for 31 tips for season 15. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.